You could also do coasters that have a theme. We got a little Avenger theme here going on, or Marvel theme. You could do sports themes, family names, whatever it might be. You could potentially add color to your engravings later on. That's a little bit more advanced, but it could be done. And then really advanced here, just a few more examples that once we learn how to do this is that eventually when you start working in layers with the laser, you can really create some very, very cool projects. And I got one here with some like ornaments with a few layers where each color is its own layer. Or lake maps are very popular too. They turn out really nice where each of these contours is a different layer. So this lake map could be nearly 2 inches thick when you get all the layers of plywood glued up and added together. For doing our logos in general, if you're going that route, you're going to look for logos that are, basically two color, black and white or whatever that may be, because the laser doesn't do shades of gray very well. It's easier just to think about black and white logos right now, whether it's something like that, sports theme here with the Bucks. I was thinking green and white, maybe a truck logo, again, black and white, PlayStation logo, black and white. You kind of get the idea here. Now, when you're saving any of these logos, they should come up as like JPEGs, bitmaps, or PNGs. And bitmap is BMP, by the way. So JPEG, BMP, or PNG. If it is not coming up as that, it will not work. And here's the one that does not often work. I found one because we tend to find them when we don't want to. So I do a save image as. There it is. And this WebP file does not work in Inventor. So if that's what you'll have to keep looking for other logos of that style. There's a little workaround. If you cannot absolutely find it except for this WebP file, you can save it. You have to open it in Microsoft Paint, and then you can do a save as from there and make it a JPEG file. But we try to avoid this style right there. There we go. Let's make that full size. And see, I got that started already. It was 4x4 with the 1/2 inch fillets on the corners. And then this one I'm going to do a logo. But even if I was doing the cutout, my next step would be to start another sketch on this surface and then either draw what I want to cut away or draw what I want to engrave, like for a logo. So once I have a sketch started, I am going to draw a couple of diagonal lines here. Restart, diagonal lines. Okay, and then I'll just make them construction, click off to deselect, because now I have a center point. And just to make sure it lets me select, I'm just going to drop one in like that. And that's just some extra work to help me for doing my layout. Now I'm ready to bring my picture in. So I'll go find it. Everything you should be saving off the internet would be, of course, into your group drive folder. I have to save stuff a little bit differently when I'm doing these demos with videos. So I'm going to grab my Captain America photo, just double click if that opens it, and just get it placed on the screen. Now some of the dots at the corners here will move and resize. Some are just for moving. Okay, 3 of them are all to size, and there we go. One of them's to move. But notice my photo got turned on me. If I want to make sure that never happens, I can put constraints on photos just like I do with regular drawings. So I went up and picked that horizontal constraint tool, and I'm just going to pick the top or bottom edge of my photo and left click once. Hit escape a couple times. This photo now cannot rotate on me anymore. Now it's a lot easier to resize and move around. So I'm just dragging those corners to resize. Then I just drag the photo in general to get it where I want it. And this just takes a little finagling. This is up to you. Nice thing or fun thing about this project is there's no real big dimensions. You're just kind of getting it to the size you want and moving on. What I'm looking at here is just to see if my center point is pretty close on the middle of that image. Maybe I'll move it over just a little bit. And I think that's a pretty good start here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab circle tool, snap to that middle, and get that, start tracing my image here. Now you might be using the line tool. You might be using the spline tool right here. This is if you got to trace some shapes that are very curvy and no particular diameter radius. Obviously circles like I'm doing, arcs, or potentially polygons, but I bet line, spline, and circle and arcs are going to probably be some of the most common tools, and rectangle here, of course. All right, so back to circles. I'm making a series here. Get them pretty close. And don't be afraid to zoom in. Makes it a little easier sometimes. Now I'll do my star. I'll use the polygon tool. I could just take the line tool and honestly trace it too. You know, and just start drawing the segments of the star like that. It's really up to you. Me, I want to make it, I'm going to escape and undo just a couple times to get rid of my lines. I want to try to make it as even as possible, so I'm going to use polygon and set that to 5. I'm going to snap to my middle, take my pentagon straight up. I know it's a little bit off with the image, so it's hard to say if there's a good chance that maybe the picture is a little bit skewed, but it's okay. Hit escape, line tool, and now I'll just start drawing my star like I would with a pencil, crisscrossing at the corners. I got to restart at each endpoint. It's just the way that works sometimes when they click on. There, across and back. And there we go. And for this one, it is a really nice quick one. Good for example. I'm ready to now shut my image off. So if I go to my browser, hit the plus by sketch, because the plus says that there's something contained to that sketch. And sure enough, there's that image. I can now right click, visibility, and that's gone. Come back in here, use the trim tool, and I can get rid of what I don't need. And I don't need those either. I could potentially get rid of my construction lines at this point, but I'm doing just a little bit of work to go around them. There, so everything should be nice and centered. If you're going to do any more dimension, you probably would want to do all that right now before we extrude it. But I think that looks good to me. I know it's centered, so I'm happy with that. Let's finish the sketch and do an extrusion. Extrude, and I know I want to cut out the star, skip a space, then that ring, space, and then that ring. We're going to set this to cut. I'm going to set the depth to 0.03 because that's about a 1/32 of an inch is about how deep it actually engraves. And then click OK. And we have our and this would be good enough at this point, but just for my own clarity, I like to hold Shift and click those lower areas. Right click on any one of the blue spots and select Properties. And I'm going to go down and just make this black. For whatever reason, these two blacks don't work the best. Usually I go down and get rubber black, just because it doesn't have any shine on it. It just is a better representation of what I'm looking for. There, now I got a good idea what the engraving might look like. And this coaster would be done. If I was going to make a set or a theme, or if I'm doing one coaster that's just repeated, we're good. If you wanted to do that theme idea, you would just redraw another coaster with another logo and get that made. Odds are it wouldn't take real long to come up with a small little theme set, and that would look nice too. But whatever way you pick, whether it's just one and done or the theme, once your coaster is made, you are now to start some documentation. So File, New, a new drawing. It doesn't matter if I don't have the KHS ones. Any sheet is going to work, because we actually we right click on the border and delete it, and we right click on the ANSI or the KHS title block and delete that. Blank sheet of paper. I'm also going to right click on sheet 1, edit sheet, because I'm going to change the size. And most likely yours is probably A already. We're going to go with B and see if that fits. Click OK. All right. We're going to go ahead and base view. There we go. Coaster, scale of 1. Looks great. Click OK. So we need to put a base view for each item that we need to cut out. Now, if it is one coaster 4 times, we will finish this coaster up. We got to shade some areas black, and then we'll copy and paste it. So as I was saying, we need to prep this a little bit. The laser engraver cuts on lines when they're a certain thickness, and it engraves black areas, like filled in black areas. And we don't have that yet. I know we did it on the part file, right here, but that color shading does not carry over to the drawing file. So after your view is on here, we're going to left click once on that dotted box around this view. We're going to press S on the keyboard for a sketch that belongs to this view. And now we are going to project geometry at the top and just drag a box that selects everything. And then right click OK. There. Now we have all these references. Now we can go to Hatch Region and tell it that instead of a pattern, I want a solid color. Go down to the color tab, just make sure it's on black and click OK. And now you can go back over here while this window's open and click in the areas you want to fill. And then click OK. And finish sketch. Once you have the sheet prepped, whether it's the one coaster 4 times or it's your 4 individual coasters and your base, you are now ready to file, export as a PDF, and save them to where you know your location is on your group drive. It should be default to a PDF style. It doesn't hurt to put your initials on this, so I might have like KJ Coasters. Because later on the laser sees your file name and having initials can help a lot. So KJ Coasters, and then maybe I will add demo on there. So remember, you do not have to add demo. And this is a good pausing point. And I'll probably break this into a separate video that goes through how to use Adobe Illustrator and then talk about sending it over to the laser. See you in the next video.